The 2024 season was an absolute banger. All right, let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ultimate look back at a season that was an absolute electric factory from start to finish. The 2024 NFL season, what a ride it was, huh? We're talking about a year that had everything a football junkie could ever dream of. We saw legends hang 'em up, new heroes rise from the ashes, and some of the most jaw-dropping, mind-bending plays that will live on highlight reels for eternity. This wasn't just another season of football. It was a full-blown spectacle, a weekly dose of pure, unadulterated adrenaline that kept us all glued to our screens, screaming at the top of our lungs. From the opening kickoff in September all the way to the final whistle in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59, the drama was non-stop. We saw teams that nobody believed in come out of nowhere and punch the big dogs right in the mouth. We witnessed quarterbacks slinging the pigskin like they were born to do it, and defensive behemoths who looked like they were created in a lab to cause absolute chaos. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch unfold. The storylines were richer than a steak dinner, with coaching carousels spinning, rivalries heating up to a boiling point, and every single Sunday delivering a fresh batch of "did you see that" moments. This whole thing is about celebrating that beautiful chaos. We're going to dive headfirst into the madness, recapping the biggest moments and the most important storylines that defined the year. We'll break down how each division shook out, who surprised us, and who, let's be honest, completely dropped the ball. And you better believe we're going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Those birds weren't just flying, they were soaring on a mission that took them all the way to the promised land. It was a championship run for the ages, and we're going to dissect every glorious second of it. So grab a cold one, get comfortable, and let's do this thing. We're going to relive the highs, the lows, and the downright insane moments that made the 2024 NFL season one for the history books. We'll talk about the players who became household names, the games that had us on the edge of our seats, and the grand finale that saw the Eagles hoist that Lombardi trophy high into the sky. It was a season of pure, unadulterated passion, and we're here for every single bit of it. Let's get this show on the road. Let's talk about the vibe across the league this year, because it was something special. On one side of the ball, you had offensive gurus dialing up schemes that were just plain filthy. We saw an explosion of scoring, with teams putting up points like it was a video game set to rookie mode. Quarterbacks were more protected than ever, and they took full advantage, airing it out to a new generation of freakishly athletic wide receivers and tight ends. The motion, the trick plays, the RPOs, it was a chess match every single snap, and the offensive masterminds were playing at a grandmaster level, making defenses look silly on a weekly basis. But don't get it twisted, this wasn't just an offensive showcase. The defense decided to have a word too. While some teams were lighting up the scoreboard, others were building absolute brick walls. We saw a resurgence of nasty, hard-hitting defenses that flew to the football with bad intentions. Defensive coordinators got creative, using exotic blitz packages and disguised coverages to confuse even the most veteran quarterbacks. Guys like Sauce Gardner and Micah Parsons weren't just playing defense. They were changing the geometry of the field, shutting down entire sides and making offenses play left-handed. It was a beautiful clash of styles, and the numbers, my goodness, the numbers were staggering. We had multiple quarterbacks throwing for over 4,500 yards, and the 5,000-yard club almost got a few new members. Running backs were eating too, with guys like Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Gibbs proving that a dominant ground game is still a recipe for success in this league. Records felt like they were being broken every other week. It seemed like every time you looked up, some young stud was setting a new rookie benchmark, or a seasoned veteran was climbing up the all-time leaderboards. It was a testament to the incredible talent and dedication these athletes bring to the gridiron every single day. This push and pull between unstoppable offenses and immovable defenses made for some fascinating football. You'd have one week where two high-powered attacks would engage in a 45-42 shootout, and the next week you'd see a gritty, old-school defensive slugfest that ended 13-10. This variety is what makes the NFL the greatest sport on the planet. It's not just one way to win. You can win by airing it out, you can win by pounding the rock, or you can win by simply refusing to let the other team breathe. The 2024 season was a masterclass in this beautiful dichotomy. Let's take a tour around the league, because every division had its own brand of beautiful madness. Starting in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, led by the cannon-arm Josh Allen, once again proved they were the top dogs, finishing with a solid 12-5 record. But the Miami Dolphins, with Tua Tagovailoa feeding Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, were right on their heels, making for some epic showdowns. The AFC North was an absolute bloodbath, a four-way steel cage match every Sunday. The Baltimore Ravens, with Lamar Jackson looking like an MVP candidate again, clawed their way to the top at 11-6, just barely edging out the tough-as-nails Pittsburgh Steelers. Over in the AFC South, the Houston Texans showed the world that their 2023 run was no fluke. CJ Stroud didn't just avoid a sophomore slump, he smashed it to pieces, leading his squad to a dominant 13-4 record and looking like a top-5 quarterback in the league. The AFC West was once again the kingdom of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They cruised to a 13-4 record, looking as dangerous as ever, with Andy Reid dialing up brilliant plays and Travis Kelce continuing to defy Father Time. The other teams in the division were just trying to keep up with the juggernaut in red. Shifting to the NFC East was a nail-biter down to the very last week. But this was the year of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts was a man possessed, a true dual-threat nightmare for defenses, and he guided his team to a phenomenal 14-3 record. They looked like a team on a mission from week one. In the NFC North, the Detroit Lions continued their ascent under Dan Campbell. With a high-powered offense featuring Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, they bit enough kneecaps to win the division at 12-5, with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers giving them a serious run for their money. Finally, the NFC South saw the Atlanta Falcons, under new leadership, finally put it all together to win a tight divisional race. Meanwhile, the NFC West was a two-horse race between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers, with their star-studded roster, ultimately clinched the title with a 12-5 record, showcasing their balanced attack and ferocious defense. Brock Purdy continued to prove the doubters wrong, and Christian McCaffrey was an absolute cheat code, racking up yards and touchdowns like it was nothing. What a season of divisional dominance and tight races. This season wasn't just about the winners, it was about the seismic shifts that rocked the foundation of the league. The biggest story, without a doubt, was the end of an era in New England. After decades of unprecedented dominance, Bill Belichick and the Patriots parted ways. Seeing him on that sideline for the last time was a surreal moment for every football fan. It was the closing of a chapter, the end of a dynasty that we may never see again. The NFL landscape feels fundamentally different without the hooded figure stalking the sidelines in Foxborough, a true testament to his legendary impact on the game. And oh, the upsets. This season was a graveyard for favorites. We saw it week in and week out. Remember when the Denver Broncos, a massive underdog, went into Baltimore and stunned the Ravens on a last-second field goal? Or how about the Arizona Cardinals, with a rookie quarterback, taking down the mighty 49ers in a divisional shocker? These were the games that reminded us why we love this sport. On any given Sunday, anything can happen. These moments are the lifeblood of the league, the ultimate proof that heart and execution can triumph over talent and expectations. It keeps every single fan base hopeful. We were also treated to some instant classics, games that will be replayed for years to come. That Monday Night Football clash between the Chiefs and the Bills in Week 11 was an offensive masterpiece. A 38-35 barn burner where Mahomes and Allen traded haymakers like heavyweight boxers. Then there was the Eagles-Cowboys game in Dallas, a Sunday night slobber knocker with playoff implications on every snap that went into overtime. The intensity, the drama, the sheer athletic brilliance on display in these contests was off the charts. These weren't just games, they were cinematic experiences that captivated the entire nation. Coaching changes also made major headlines beyond the Belichick saga. We saw several teams make moves mid-season, trying to spark a fire under disappointing squads. The Carolina Panthers moved on from their head coach after a brutal start, and the ripple effects were felt across the league. It just goes to show how much pressure there is to win in this business. These moves, combined with the retirements of legendary players and the constant threat of a massive upset, created a season full of unpredictability and non-stop drama. You couldn't look away for a second. When the regular season dust settled, the real season began. The NFL playoffs are a different beast, a single elimination tournament where one bad day sends you packing. In the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans looked like the teams to beat, both securing first-round byes. The Texans, led by the magnificent CJ Stroud, looked poised for a deep run, dismantling their wildcard opponent with surgical precision. The Chiefs, as they always do, handled their business in the divisional round, setting up a titanic clash with the Texans in the AFC Championship game. It was a battle of the new guard versus the old guard. That AFC Championship game was an absolute thriller. Stroud and the Texans went toe-to-toe with Mahomes and the Chiefs, trading blows for 4 quarters. It came down to the final possession, a classic Mahomes 2-minute drill that culminated in a game-winning touchdown pass, breaking the hearts of Houston fans but cementing the Chiefs' place back in the Super Bowl. It was a valiant effort from the Texans, who proved they are going to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. But in the end, the experience and clutch play of Andy Reid's squad won the day. But the real story was brewing in the NFC. The Philadelphia Eagles, owners of the conference's best record, entered the playoffs as the #1 seed and looked utterly dominant. They had a swagger, a confidence that they were the best team on the field no matter who the opponent was. In the divisional round, they hosted the Detroit Lions and put on an offensive clinic, with Jalen Hurts accounting for 4 touchdowns in a commanding victory. The link was rocking, and you could feel the momentum building. This team was special, and they were hitting their stride at the perfect time. In the NFC Championship game, the Eagles faced their bitter rivals, the San Francisco 49ers, in a rematch that had the entire league buzzing. It was a physical, brutal affair, with both defenses landing massive hits. But the Eagles' offensive line proved to be the difference maker, creating running lanes for DeAndre Swift and giving Hurts just enough time to make critical throws to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The Eagles pulled away in the 4th quarter, clinching their ticket to Super Bowl 59 with a hard-fought 27-17 victory. The city of Philadelphia erupted. Their birds were heading to the Big Easy. The stage was set. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. A heavyweight championship bout between 2 of the league's premier franchises. The storylines were incredible. Andy Reid facing his old team, and 2 of the best quarterbacks on the planet, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, going head-to-head. The hype was off the charts, and honestly, the game itself delivered on every single promise. It was a back-and-forth epic, a true clash of titans that came down to the final, heart-stopping moments. This was what football is all about. The game started with a bang, with both offenses moving the ball effectively. The Chiefs struck first, but the Eagles answered right back, with Jalen Hurts using both his arm and his legs to keep the Kansas City defense off balance. The first half was a chess match, with both teams trading scores, and they went into halftime with the Eagles clinging to a slim 17-14 lead. You could really feel the tension in the Superdome. Every single play felt like it could be the one that shifted the entire momentum of the game. Neither team was willing to give an inch. The second half is where legends are made, and Jalen Hurts cemented his. He was simply magnificent. In the 4th quarter, with the game tied at 24-all, Hurts led the Eagles on a methodical 75-yard drive that ate up over 7 minutes of clock. He converted 2 crucial 3rd downs with his legs and capped it off with a laser-like touchdown pass to Devonta Smith in the corner of the end zone. The Eagles took a 31-24 lead with just under 2 minutes to play, putting all the pressure back on Mahomes. The Chiefs had one last chance, but the Eagles' defense, which had been bending all day, refused to break, forcing a turnover on downs to seal the victory. Jalen Hurts was deservedly named Super Bowl MVP. His final stat line was incredible: 25 of 34 passing for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus 72 rushing yards and another 2 scores on the ground. He was unstoppable, but this victory was a total team effort. The offensive line was dominant, the defense made the crucial stop when it mattered most, and Nick Sirianni's coaching staff had the perfect game plan. As the green and silver confetti rained down, the Philadelphia Eagles were crowned Super Bowl 59 champions. A magical end to a magical season. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's give some love to the individual ballers who put up video game numbers all season long. These are the guys who filled up the stat sheets and made fantasy football managers weep with joy. Leading the charge, of course, was the Super Bowl MVP himself, Jalen Hurts. He was a fantasy football cheat code, finishing the regular season with over 4,100 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, and another 850 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. He was a one-man wrecking crew, a true dual-threat quarterback who mastered the art of the tush-push, and so much more. In Houston, CJ Stroud didn't just avoid a sophomore slump, he took his game to another stratosphere. The kid looked like a 10-year veteran, dissecting defenses with incredible poise and accuracy. Stroud threw for a league-leading 4,850 yards and 38 touchdowns against just 5 interceptions. That touchdown-to-interception ratio is just absurd. He firmly established himself as a top-tier quarterback and has the Texans looking like a perennial contender for years to come. The future is blindingly bright in Houston, and it's all because of number 7. We also have to talk about the running backs who turned defenses inside out. Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers was, once again, the best all-purpose back in football. He was an absolute machine, leading the league in scrimmage yards with over 2,200 and finding the end zone 22 times. He was the engine of that potent San Francisco offense. And up in Detroit, second-year sensation Jahmyr Gibbs was electric. He sliced through defenses with his incredible speed and agility, racking up over 1,200 rushing yards and adding another 500 through the air, scoring 15 total touchdowns and becoming a cornerstone of the Lions' attack. On the defensive side of the ball, the disruptors made their presence felt in a big way. TJ Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers once again led the league in sacks, terrorizing quarterbacks and adding another Defensive Player of the Year caliber season to his resume. In New York, Sauce Gardner continued his reign as the premier shutdown cornerback in the NFL, locking down top receivers and making quarterbacks afraid to even look his way. These players and so many others were the titans of the 2024 season, the elite talents who made watching football every week an absolute privilege. Alright, the confetti has been swept up, but it's never too early to look ahead, right? Let's fire up the crystal ball and make some bold predictions for the 2025 season. For MVP, the conversation has to start with the guys who were at the top this year. Jalen Hurts, fresh off a Super Bowl win, will be a popular pick. CJ Stroud is only going to get better, which is a terrifying thought for the rest of the AFC, and you can never, ever count out Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. A dark horse? Keep an eye on Jordan Love in Green Bay. If he continues his upward trajectory, he could absolutely insert himself into that conversation. Which teams are poised to make a leap? I'm looking squarely at the Atlanta Falcons. They won a weak division, but they have a ton of young offensive talent and a solid defense. With another year of experience, they could go from a 9-win team to a legitimate 12-win contender. Another team to watch is the Chicago Bears. They have a war chest of draft picks and cap space. And if their young quarterback takes a big step forward, they could surprise a lot of people in the NFC North. The foundation is being laid for something special in the Windy City. On the flip side, which teams might take a step back? It's tough to stay on top. The Kansas City Chiefs have been to so many AFC Championship games in a row, the law of averages says they might have a slight dip. I'm not saying they'll be bad, but getting back to the Super Bowl for a third straight year is an incredibly tall task. I also worry about the San Francisco 49ers. They have a lot of high-priced talent, and keeping that core together while staying healthy is always a challenge. A regression wouldn't be shocking. The biggest question mark heading into 2025 will be the quarterback carousel. Where will some of the big-name free agents land? Will there be any blockbuster trades that shake up the league's power structure? And what will the post-Belichick era look like in New England? These storylines will dominate the offseason and set the table for another year of glorious football. The NFL is a league of constant change, and that's what makes it so dang compelling. One move can change the entire trajectory of a franchise. And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour through a football season that was nothing short of spectacular. From the opening kickoff to the final piece of confetti falling on the champion Philadelphia Eagles, the 2024 NFL season delivered pure, unadulterated entertainment. We saw the passing of the torch with legends like Bill Belichick moving on, and we witnessed the birth of new superstars like CJ Stroud, who are ready to carry the league into the future. It was a season defined by explosive offenses, bone-crushing defenses, and storylines that felt like they were ripped straight from a Hollywood script. The journey was the destination. We lived for the Sunday Red Zone marathons, the Monday night showdowns, and the Thanksgiving Day triple headers. We celebrated the improbable upsets and agonized over the heartbreaking losses. It's a shared experience, a weekly ritual that brings millions of us together. The passion, the pageantry, the raw emotion, that's the magic of the National Football League. This season was a powerful reminder of why we pour so much of our time and energy into this beautiful, brutal sport. It's more than just a game, it's a part of who we are. Now it's your turn. What were your favorite moments? Who do you think will be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy in February 2026? Will the Eagles repeat, or will a new challenger rise from the pack? The beauty of the offseason is that every team starts with a clean slate, and every fan base has a reason to hope. So let the debates begin in the group chats, fire up those mock drafts, and get your predictions ready. The conversation never stops, and that's just the way we like it. We'll be here all off-season breaking it all down for you. So as we close the book on the incredible 2024 season, we say thank you. Thank you to the players, the coaches, and everyone who makes this league what it is. It was a year of unforgettable drama, culminating in a well-deserved championship for the city of Philadelphia. But don't you worry, because the 2025 season is just around the corner. And if it's anything like this one, we are in for another absolutely epic ride. So until then, stay safe, be good to each other, and get ready for more football. Cheers, everyone.